Hi, my name is John Walker, and this presentation is on economic performance. Economic performance is issues dealing with the amount and value of money, wealth, debt, and investment. Economic measures include inflation, unemployment, growth, balance of payments, and the exchange rate. Non-economic measures include quality of life, environment, health, and education. Gross domestic product is the most well-known measurement of economic performance. It is the most commonly used measure of a country's economic activity. It reflects the value of all final goods and services legally produced in an economy in a given time period. The four components of gross domestic product are personal consumption, business investment, government spending, and net exports. It tells you what a country is good at producing. It is the country's total economic output for each year. It's equivalent to what is being spent in that economy. Personal consumption expenditures. Consumer spending contributes to over half of the United States production. Its spending is either categorized as goods or services. Personal consumption makes up such a large part of the U.S. economy because it has a large domestic population within an easily accessible geographic location. It is a huge market for its products. Goods are divided into durable goods and non-durable goods. Durable goods can be autos and furniture. Non-durable goods would be fuel, food, and clothing, and things alike. Services are almost half of U.S. gross domestic product. These include commodities that cannot be stored and are consumed when purchased. A business investment includes purchases that companies make to produce consumer goods. Not all purchases are counted. If a purchase replaces an existing item, then it doesn't add to the GDP and isn't counted. Purchases must go toward creating new consumer goods to be counted. Government spending was at $3.18 trillion in 2018, 17% of the total GDP. It's less than the 19% it contributed in 2006. The government was spending more when the economy was booming before the recession. Imports and exports have an opposite effects on the GDP. Exports add to GDP and imports subtract. The United States imports more than it exports, creating a trade deficit. Here's the equation used to calculate the GDP. The GDP equals consumption plus government expenditures plus investment plus exports minus imports. Here's a small chart of how the GDP might affect you. 17% of government spending, 18% business investment, 69% personal consumption, and negative 5% of net exports. Here are some of the impacts of the GDP. Personal finance, investments, job growth. Investors look at a nation's growth rate to decide if they should adjust their asset allocation. They also compare country growth rates to find their best international opportunities. Here are a couple of problems and criticisms of the GDP. It doesn't count the environmental costs. For example, the price of plastic is cheap because it doesn't include the cost of pollution. The GDP also does not count the shadow or black economy. It underestimates economic output in countries where a lot of people receive their income from illegal activities. These products aren't taxed and don't show up in government records. The GDP measurement is very important. When it declines for 2 consecutive quarters or more, the economy is in a recession. When the GDP grows too quickly and fears of inflation rise, the Federal Reserve often attempts to stimulate the economy by raising interest rates. In summary, the GDP enables policymakers and central banks to judge whether the economy is contracting or expanding, whether it needs a boost or restraint, and if a threat, such as a recession or inflation, looms on the horizon. Like any measure, it has its imperfections. Means of calculating the GDP have also evolved continually since its conception, so as to keep up with evolving measurements of industry activity and the generation and consumption of new emerging forms of intangible assets.